example, when you design the K to 10 program, what will happen to the K to 12?
While we are at par with rich countries in terms of attendance, we are way below our potential. There is a learning gap of 5.5 years. An average Filipino student spent more time in school but were less productive than their counterparts in comparator countries. As early as 1925, that we have overworked and overburdened teachers, and until now, after 85 years, it's still the same issue.
The ability of other countries to attract our graduates will just get stronger and stronger because they can afford to pay much more. We need to be resilient. We need to do more. Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Allow me to acknowledge everyone who are here with us today, advocating for the education sector. Your mere presence is highly regarded and appreciated as we renew our commitment to prioritize education investments for the Filipino learners. I would like to start by saying thank you. We acknowledge the efforts of EDCOM2, commissioners in pushing for transformative, concrete and targeted reforms to address the learning crisis and to further improve the country's education system. We also thank you for hosting this meeting, Senator Gatchalian. Likewise, we would also like to express our gratitude for the laudable efforts of the Advisory Council members in providing expert assistance and sage advice in making the Philippines globally competitive, both in education and labor markets. We also recognize the tremendous amount of work devoted by the EDCOM Secretariat to ensure that necessary arrangements are successfully undertaken to organize every meeting. On behalf of the Department of Education, along with our teaching and non-teaching personnel, nationwide, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. We have waited for EDCOM2 for a long time. We welcome suggestions coming from the commissioners and the Advisory Council. If there are ways by which we can collaborate and support one another, we would be glad to hear them, for we believe that the gargantuan task of addressing the woes of the education sector will not happen overnight, nor can it be achieved by DepEd alone. As the old adage puts it, it takes a village to educate a child. In order to ensure quality, accessible, relevant, liberating, and resilient education for our learners, we need to strengthen and sustain our collective efforts as a nation. We still have a long way to go. We need to be resilient. We need to do more. With this philosophy in mind, the Department of Education under the current administration launched the Matatag Agenda in the furtherance of its mandate and guided by the renewed hope under the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Under the Matatag Agenda, we pledge to make the curriculum relevant to produce competent, job-ready, active, and responsible citizens, take steps to accelerate delivery of basic education facilities and services, take good care of our learners by promoting learner well-being, inclusive education, and a positive learning environment, and give support to our teachers to teach better. The DepEd endeavors to establish a nation that values its youth and a Filipino youth that values its nation. Towards this end, we come here filled with enthusiasm to sit and work with you. As this meeting commences, it is of utmost importance that we are all guided by a common understanding of a systematic and inclusive engagement among stakeholders, which is a critical component in the fulfillment of our goals and targets. Ang lahat para sa Diyos, sa bayan, at sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Shukran.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. Just to give context, while we are at par with rich countries in terms of attendance, we are way below our potential. There is a learning gap of 5.5 years, meaning for a learner who is undergoing 12 years of basic education, only 6.5 years is being learned by that same learner. Only 2/3 of students in rural schools had one textbook per student. An average Filipino student spent more time in school but were less productive than their counterparts in comparator countries. Additional classrooms are needed, given that school buildings in certain remote areas do not meet quality and safety standards. Enrollment is increasing and existing classrooms deteriorate due to wear and tear of calamities. And the commissioners, as well as our advisory council, identified priority areas in basic education. I won't go into the issues because these are details of the priority areas, but we have identified learning resources as a priority area that we should look at. Measurement of learning outcomes. As we all know, we have the National Achievement Test, but how do we use the National Achievement Test? How do we cull the data in order to come up with reforms is another issue that we have to look at. Curriculum and instruction is also another issue, and we have to look at the medium and language of instruction, and this is where Congressman Roman is very passionate about. We also have to look at the decongestion and also even reviewing the spiral method in the spiral curriculum method in the curriculum and instruction area. So some of the things that we saw that are present during as early as 1925, that we have overworked and overburdened teachers. In a Monroe survey presented before, they stated that our teachers were already overworked. And until now, after 85 years, it's still the same issue. And so we have to look at that and why, and go deeper on why this problem persists despite many reforms that we implemented in the past. 98 years. I'm sorry for the 10 years in advocacy. And in the EDCOM2, a lot of the findings there are still present at this time. And in fact, EDCOM2 was the brainchild of no less than the father of Senator Sani Angara, who spearheaded that commission at that time. But many of the issues before are still present at this time.
Mr. Chair, I've been advised that hindi ata pwede masyado yung open forum. So maybe I will just react para just as a guide. First of all, Madam Secretary, thank you very much for being here. Alam niyo po, sa totoo lang, napaka-importante ng presence niyo as Secretary of Education. Simply because sa dami po ng problema ng Department of Education, kailangan talaga political will. And when you came aboard as a secretary, I think you brought in hope to many of those who really want change to happen. Alam niyo, Madam Secretary, marami kasi dyan, alam naman yung problema Alam rin yung sagot, pero minsan talagang political will. That is why with you at the helm of the department, hopefully these changes can happen quickly. Siguro rin, Madam Secretary, I just want to react sa mga sinabi ni Ma'am Gina. Una po, yung sa mother tongue. Sa mother tongue po, actually, sa House of Representatives, pasado na po kami on third and final reading. Ang sinabi po namin doon, pareho ng sinasabi po ninyo. Sinasabi namin ang mother tongue o the language that one is used to, a learner is used to, okay sa amin yun. Kaya ang tinanggal na lang po namin ay yung mandatory nature. So schools, principals, and teachers can still choose. Kung tingin nila, yun yung pinaka-effective, payag kami. Kasi sa ilalim po ng K-12 law ngayon, it's mandatory Kaya kawawa rin po yung teachers. Kaya binasa na po namin yun on third and final reading. Ang tinanggal lang namin, yung mandatory nature. Payag kami kahit ano, kung ano yung pinaka-effective. Pangalawa, sa spiral progression, we're about to pass that also. Aalisin na rin po namin yung mandatory nature. We want to give the teachers the flexibility on how to teach a subject. Mas alam po nila, depende, hindi katulad ngayon sa K-12 law, mandatory po Wala akong choice Pangatlo, nabanggit niyo yung problema natin sa registered guidance counselors. Pasado na rin po namin on third and final reading sa House. Ang sinasabi po namin, pansamantala, papayagan po natin kahit hindi siya registered guidance counselor. Papayagan po natin, una, yung mga graduates ng allied courses na may at least 12 units of behavioral science. Papayagan rin po natin dapat yung teachers kung gusto nila at kung tingin ng principal, karapat-dapat sila. Ang dami na po masyadong mental wellness na nangyayari. Sinabi po namin sa naming version, ang sabi po namin, angatin na rin po natin yung salary grade. Pagka registered guidance counselor ka, huwag naman salary grade 11. Mag-umpisa tayo sa 16 para kahit pa paano may karera ka naman pagdating po nung usapin po ng career mo. Sa 11 and 12 po, sabi nyo nga, rine-review po ninyo. Tama po sa amin po, halos nasa floor na po namin for passage on third and final reading. Inaamyenda na po namin yung creative arts, yung arts and design, at inaamyenda na rin po namin yung curriculum ng TVL. Ang sabi po namin, 50% of the curriculum must be done by the experts. Yung mga industriya po, kaya ang sabi natin, dapat imbitahin natin ang TESDA, imbitahin natin ang DTI, ang mga business communities na sumama po dun sa formulation, kasama rin po dyan sa creative arts. Pero Ma'am Gina, pinag-uusapan namin share Marco, nabanggit mo kanina, pati Kiko ata, nabanggit mo na i-release nyo na po yung K-10 curriculum po ninyo. Gusto nyo talagang, it's not a DepEd curriculum, but a curriculum of everyone. Pero Ma'am Gina, matagal ka na rin po sa gobyerno, matagal na rin po siguro kayo sa DepEd. Alam natin ang totoo. Minsan talaga, we have to dive into it, do it, and then from there, develop it. As public servants, we have to take, that risk. Pero hindi na po pwede yung status ko ngayon. We have to move on. And siguro marami pa po akong gustong banggitin, pero marami rin gusto magsalita, mag-react. Ito na lang po, importante rin po sana po, pinag-uusapan namin yung sa 1 to 3. Masayang-masaya po kami. I think si VP Sara nakabanggit na nito, yung pagbawas ng subjects. Talagang ma'am, ang kabataang Pilipino, matalino talaga at magaling. Yung PISA na yan, huwag nyo na isipin yan kasi that was a fluke for the simple reason that mother tongue got in the way. And medyo nandun tayo sa Pero it's not a reflection of the Filipino student. Ang kailangan lang po natin sa isang Filipino student, turuan magbasa at naintindihan niya yung binabasa niya. Reading lang at mathematics at yung GMRC. Siguro po, talagang sabi niyo nga ni Ma'am Sara, babawasan niyo yan talaga. I think we are really hoping that we get to that point na talagang let us give the Filipino child the chance na reading. Kaya po niya Basta marunong siya magbasa at naintindihan niya in whatever language o dialect na gusto na tingin natin komportable sila. And again, Vice President, I will not take too much time anymore, but we are very happy that you are the helm of this department and you have the full support, especially of the House, and I'm sure, kanina pa binabagit ni Senator Win, from the Senate. Ito po, magtulong-tulungan na tayo. We have this opportunity, political will kasi po ang sagot talaga sa lahat ng problema ng DepEd. And with you at the helm, I think we will be able to achieve this. Thank you, ma'am.
Congressman Go.
Thank you very much, Senator Win. Magandang hapon po, Vice President Sara, at sa lahat po ng mga opisyal ng DepEd. Several questions po. Una po, when we adopt or when you design the K-10 program, what will happen to the K-12? Isa pong tanong yan. Gusto kong malaman kung anong ibig sabihin yan. Baka i-focus ninyo sa K-10 at meron namang remaining K-12. Ang ibig ba sabihin yan, the student can choose whether they want to take the K-10 or the K-12. Si Mang Gina.
May I respond, Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Thank you po, Congressman Go. K-10 lang po ang una naming ilo-launch. Kasi under review po yung 11 to 12, but we're continuing with K to 12. Unahin lang po natin yung K to 10. Okay? At sabi nga ni Congressman Romulo, we want a Philippine curriculum. Tama din naman, kailangan i-implement natin to. Kung merong mga nakikita tayo later on, di ba, na mga kailangan pang ayusin natin. Because the curriculum is a living document. Di ba? So, pero magda-dive in po tayo kung Romulo doon sa K-10. Kung ano makukuha naming feedback, ipa-finalize namin based on that feedback. But along the way, we'll keep improving the curriculum. So going back, Congressman Marco, ano po, K-10 po muna tayo. Susunod po natin kaagad yung 11 to 12.
Yeah, thank you. Yung pong susunod na tanong ko dyan, dito po sa K-12, yung tech-book track, kayo po ba ay papayag kung ang tech-book track will be placed under the TESDA at hindi po sa Department of Education, considering the fact that ang nangyari po ngayong nakaraang taon, for those who have graduated under the tech-book track, hindi po sila nakakahanap ng trabaho at yung mga employers, they prefer other students or graduates than those who have graduated under the tech-book track.
Sir, I don't have a response to that at the moment. We need to discuss this within the Department of Education. So when we're ready, sir, we'll get back to you with a response.
Senator Pia.
Good afternoon, VP Sara and the DepEd team. Just a few reactions and comments. I'd like to echo the concern raised by Congressman Commissioner Romano on guidance counselor. Yusek Gina, you already mentioned it, no? So we really have to work on that because I think we all recognize it. So I'm just really echoing that concern. There has to be a clear career path for them to really want to get into this. And I think the time has come for us to be creative in the courses that we will allow to be guidance counselors. Napaka-specific, napaka-limiting ng guidance counselors. Samantalang a psych graduate would have, if not more, exposure on this. So it's high time that we prioritize this. We are producing more children than teachers. So if we do not empower other workers, whether they are voluntary parents from the Parent-Teacher Association, we will never have enough. And to think that we have a young population. Can you imagine? Tayo na ngayon may young population and yet we will not be able to meet that need because the ability of other countries to attract our graduates will just get stronger and stronger because they can afford to pay much more. So that's really what I feel we need to be aware of as we develop our curriculum. How prepared are they when they finish, whether grade 10 and grade 12? And many industries are prepared to come up with like 3-year programs that start from grade 9.
To end, we turn over the floor to Congressman Romulo for his closing remarks.
Again, Madam Vice President, to the DepEd family, maraming salamat dito sa pagkakataon na makaharap kayo. Nakita niyo naman po, Madam Vice President, I think whether from the Senate, from the House, or even the private sector, everyone is hopeful with you at the helm. We will be able to make these reforms and may kakampi po kayo talaga sa totoo lang. So please do not hesitate to call on anyone, even any of your staff, to call on any one of us. We are here to assist our education sector. We are here to support the Vice President as Secretary of Education, so you can count on that, Madam Vice President. And again, to all our yung fellow legislators, kasama ko lahat ng mga EDCOM2 members na kasama natin, technical staff, thank you very much for the hard work to bring everyone together this afternoon. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Congressman. And to end, we will have a ceremonial signing of the data sharing agreement, and then finally, our most awaited and favorite portion, the photo op. And then we end the EDCOM meetings.
We will now proceed to the signing of the data sharing agreement between the two parties. We would like to invite DepEd Yusek Jose Arturo de Castro and EDCOM Executive Director Dr. Carol Markey to sign the data sharing agreement between EDCOM2 and DepEd. We would also like to invite Vice President Sara Duterte Senator Sherwin Gatchalian and Representative Roman Romulo to serve as witnesses to the signing. May we also invite the other commissioners to be witnesses.
Sir Chief, you may remain seated. Please remain seated. Opo. Okay lang po.